Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be diving into our next unit in psychology, the lifespan development unit. We are going to be looking at all the ways that a person can change over the course of their lifetime, physically, cognitively, and social emotionally. And we're going to be looking at it over the course of the entire lifespan. As they say in West Side Story, from womb to tomb. There are a lot of different issues that we examine in the field of developmental psychology. Everything from the nature versus nurture debate to this concept of stability versus change, and the question of continuity versus stages. How do we develop? Are they these set prescriptive stages that we go through, or is it this constant evolution of an individual's development that we are looking at? And so we're going to take a look at a lot of different theories, a lot of different perspectives about what contributes to the people that we are today. So let's start with a little recap of some basic vocabulary. We established in our research unit that there are different ways that we can study individuals across the lifespan. We could utilize either a longitudinal study, where we study someone or a group of people as they develop over the course of their lives, or we could use a cross-sectional study, which takes different individuals at different stages in their life, and we can compare them to see how they differ from one developmental milestone to the next. So we are going to look at the development of individuals across the lifespan, beginning with the beginning stages of life, with prenatal development. Again, there's just some basic background vocabulary we want to know, but our big focus today is going to be on infant reflexes. So some basic terminology to be familiar with when it comes to the physical development at the beginning of the lifespan are zygote, embryo, and fetus. These are different words used to describe the development from conception all the way up until birth. So a zygote is what the cells that are replicating are referred to at conception. An embryo is once they actually begin dividing, and a fetus is established around approximately 9 weeks. Now, when looking at prenatal development, we also have to consider some of the different factors that would influence an individual's development in utero. Things like teratogens. These are any type of harmful substance that they could be exposed to that could impact their development. An example of a teratogen could be something like alcohol, right? That is a harmful substance to a developing fetus, and it can lead to what's known as fetal alcohol syndrome, which leads to lifelong brain abnormalities. Some other terms to be familiar with when it comes to infant development, and again, these are review from previous units, are things like the development of neural networks. As we remember from neuroscience, as our brain starts to form, we develop these neural networks. Plasticity is another term from our neuroscience unit. As that brain is developing, the younger we are, the more plastic our brain is, the more malleable and adaptable it is, the more it is rewiring and changing as time goes on. A new term that is going to be really useful for us is what's known as maturation. And that is this idea that physical, cognitive, and social development of individuals are relatively unaffected by experience, meaning there are specific milestones that everybody hits around the same age, regardless of their individual differences. Now, this is barring any major environmental influence. Of course, extreme neglect and things like that could have an influence on an individual's development. But if we're talking about something like when a child learns how to walk, most children will learn how to walk anywhere between 9 to 15 months, right? It is not possible for a 6-week-old to learn how to walk because of maturation, because they have not hit that stage of development yet. And so that's what we mean by maturation, that there are certain stages that come as we hit different age ranges. It's not going to be specific, but it is going to be kind of a general range that we're looking at. And speaking of maturation, we're going to finish today by looking at infant reflexes. These are reflexes that all infants demonstrate at some point in time They vary when they are introduced and when they fade away, but this is the same for just about every child. The first one is the rooting reflex. And this is a reflex where if you rub an infant's cheek, they will turn their head and open their mouth. It's part of a survival technique that is hardwired into all babies. When that cheek is rubbed, when they are turning and opening their mouth, they're looking for a food source. The second one is sucking, which again makes a lot of sense for survival. If you were to place something in an infant's mouth, they are going to start sucking on it. Grasping is the concept that when you place an object in a baby's hand, they're going to curl their fingers around it and hold on very tightly. We all love doing this with babies because then we can see them holding our hands and we think it's adorable, but it's actually a reflex that all infants have. Babinski is a reflex of the toes. When you stroke the bottom of a baby's foot, their toes are going to fan out and their foot is going to twist outward. And Moro is known as the startle reflex. When a baby is startled, either when there is a loud sound or if they are not properly supported and they have a sensation like they are falling, their arms are going to thrust out and then come towards the midline to protect themselves when they have that startle reflex. And the last one is the walking or the stepping reflex. And that is when you take a baby and hold them upright and place them on a flat surface, they'll start moving their feet up and down as if they were walking or stepping. And this is before they're actually able to start walking. So these are some of the physical changes that babies undergo at the beginning of the lifespan. Next up, we're going to take a look at cognitive development and how we change in our thinking from the beginning of life all the way into our teenage and adult years. We will be looking at that primarily with Piaget's cognitive development. So that's where we'll stop today, and next time we'll pick up with Piaget. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember, be kind to your mind.